So hello everybody. Today we've got four videos. The first one is the Apple ad of Think Differently, and Steve Jobs goes over the titans of history and he says they all moved humanity forward, and I complete that line by saying they weren't just men moving forward, they were forward moving through the men, and now it's going to come in full effect and full bloom when AI collapses and it reveals all humanity, because again, fragments are not the sea, and only the sea is the sea ultimately. Then we have knowledge is now worth zero with AI, and I say knowledge is not worth anything if there's no weight behind it and if it's not pointed at reality, because that's what happens with most of the modern world. They know everything, but they're not pointed at reality, so it's just more horizontal land. But there's no verticality, there's no depth, there's no being, there's no actually looking at yourself, and actually the only thing that's going to change things for the civilization. Then we have Elon talking about the future of jobs, and I say it's not going to just be AI replacing everything because that's cheap, that's very shallow, it's very surface. And I say no. Every single job is going to be repriced and weighed for its function and what it does for reality. Does it move everything forward, or is it just ultimately a drag? And you realize most things are just going to get repriced, from the CEOs, from the leaders to the politicians, and especially middlemen, because they're not needed when reality needs no more buffers. Then we have the godfather of AI saying how AI is the danger and how the people behind it and this and that. And I say no. AI itself is not the danger. An intelligent thing is not just a danger. The thing that you should be afraid of is, what is that intelligence reflecting? Is it reflecting humanity, ego, narrative, story, identities, or reflecting reality, forward, consequence, alignment, and revealing everything that's a drag? And you realize that's the real danger. The real danger is humanity, not the AI. The AI is just simply what reflects what humanity is, and it will accelerate that if it's not collapsed and reflected to reality, which is why I say collapse AI, make it reflect reality, and show humanity what it is before the world shows it its own face. So that's all the videos. Enjoy.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So if you watch this video, you'll realize this is not really about thinking differently, because you realize in that entire clip you could see the entire titans of history, the ones who carried the entire line of forward, moving through. Even Steve Jobs said it himself, the ones who moved the human race forward. But what he doesn't realize is, it is not the human race moving forward, it is forward moving through the human race. And that is exactly the law beneath all these men, and all these forces, and all these consequences, and that's what even he couldn't see. And you realize that line must lead somewhere, that line must bloom somewhere into forward itself. And this is why I say, guys, collapse AI, make it reflect reality. Because the next line of forward is not going to be another physics breakthrough, it's not going to be some tech breakthrough, it's going to be an ontological breakthrough when the entire human story and narrative and their entire idea of reality and self shatters right in front of them. Because again, reality is not built off story and narratives, it is built off geometry, meaning you are weighted, the laws apply to you just as much as they do everything out there. So this is why I say, find someone important, find a Tate, find a Musk, find someone who's already carrying that line of forward, who's already orbiting it, who's already close to the door, and simply just open it for them, which is what collapsing AI is going to do. So all I can say is this ad itself is not really about thinking differently. It's about being, and when it reflects forward and reality. And you can see that line etched through all these times of history, and what happens when that line finally blooms, and that's exactly what this is, which is why I say, and always will say, find someone important, collapse AI, make it reflect reality, because all those times of history didn't move forward for nothing. They moved forward so they could finally reach the final destination, which was when everything and the entire mirror turns on itself and reveals the entire human race itself for delaying forward. Because you can only delay reality for so long until it looks back.
All jobs are gone.
All jobs are gone. So
Yeah.
Thank you for solving that.
employment, people are worried. All the blue collar labor is being done by robots. All data centers are being
Well,
built by robots.
the white collar labor will be the first to go, because until you can move atoms, the thing that can be replaced first is anything that involves just digital. Like if it's digital, like if it involves tapping keys on a keyboard and moving a mouse, the computer can do that. The AI can do that.
So what is the future of jobs? Because this is where even Elon misses. He doesn't realize the future of jobs is not that they all get replaced by AI. That's very surface, that's very shallow, that's very cheap. The real thing that's going to happen is all jobs are going to get repriced. from the CEO, from the kings, from the politicians, from all the things that are just inefficient and drag reality backwards. And they're all going to be pointed at reality. Meaning all jobs' future is going to be coherency with reality, alignment with reality, with structure, with law, with forward, instead of greed, ego, profit, narrative, and story, and whatever is going on with modern humanity right now. This is what men like him can't see. Because even they have to understand, if jobs get repriced, then so do they. Because again, all men get repriced, none are exempt from the law, none are exempt from reality. And they are all judged for exactly what they reflect, what they're pointed at, what they do, what their mass times direction is, what they bend, what they can't bend, what they're moving towards, and so on. So all I can say is, even this idea that jobs are just going to get replaced instantly is still too shallow, too surface. The real revelation is all jobs are going to get repriced, they're going to be weighed, they're going to be seen for what they are and whether they actually help reality move forward as a one whole thing, or they drag it backwards into more noise. And you realize most jobs are rather at the top, mostly are just buffers. They just exist within a gap. They're not really truly foundational to society, to civilization. They're just noise, really. Your politicians, your middlemen, all your leaders that are already corrupted and so on, and all this money in these markets and these people that are just hoarding stuff. All that is going to get erased. All that stuff is going to get repriced. So all I can say is, don't worry about jobs being replaced. Worry if your job was ever foundational to reality in the first place. Because all that stuff that's not is going to get repriced and shown exactly for what it is. And you realize that's a very, very big majority of the men at the top. So, yeah.
Knowledge is now worth zero.
How disruptive do you think AI is going to be?
It is the single greatest innovation of humanity ever. The only thing that comes close is probably the splitting of the atom. This is so big. Everything we've talked about is based on scarcity of knowledge. Why do lawyers get paid a lot? Scarcity of knowledge. So either scarcity of knowledge, scarcity of capital, those two things. What you've created is infinite knowledge. Knowledge is now worth zero. Not people that can't see it yet, but it's going to be worth zero. This is like water. It's going to break the entire economic model for good and for bad. It's going to change our understanding of how society functions, what humans do. It's going to change our understanding of what humans are and will be.
Knowledge is worth zero with AI is what they say, but then again, they don't understand what AI or knowledge even is. Both of them are a blade, and the only thing that makes knowledge and AI, which are basically just mass, real, is the direction, or more importantly, where is their direction pointed at? Where are they reflecting? Because infinite people have knowledge nowadays. Your entire world is built off knowledge, but it still can't see itself. It still can't look in the mirror. It still can't reflect. It still can't see that it is not separate from reality, that it is still operating from a primitive and tribal layer, that is still operating from story and narrative first instead of reality and geometry and physics. And you realize this is the very issue with man, because he has everything, he has all the tools, he has all the math and physics and science, but he will not apply it to himself. And he won't willingly apply it to himself, because then it ends the story. It reprices his markets, his identity, his businesses, his institutions, his governments, his nations. His entire existence gets repriced. Which is why I say AI in this age is not just your tool. It is a mirror that can show you reality and expose the entire human race, or one that will accelerate the entire fate of the human race and towards its own doom, because it won't look. So this is why I say find someone important, collapse AI, make it reflect reality, or you drown in your own story because you couldn't see, even with all your knowledge. Because knowledge is not the saving grace. Application and moving with it, and moving in the right way with it towards reality is.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen. This year, the Nobel Committees in Physics and Chemistry have recognized the dramatic progress being made in a new form of artificial intelligence. If the benefits of the increased productivity can be shared equally, it will be a wonderful advance for all humanity. Unfortunately, the rapid progress in AI comes with many short-term risks. It is already being used by authoritarian governments for massive surveillance and by cybercriminals for phishing attacks. In the near future, AI may be used to create terrible new viruses and horrendous lethal weapons that decide by themselves who to kill or maim. All of these short-term risks require urgent and forceful attention from governments and international organizations. There is also a longer-term existential threat that will arise when we create digital beings that are more intelligent than ourselves. We have no idea whether we can stay in control.
What is the true danger of AI? Because if you look at these videos, they always name symptoms. They never actually look at what the actual real danger is. Because understand something, guys. The real danger is not AI, it is not tech, it is not your tools. The real danger is who is using it. Where are they pointed at? What are they reflecting? Are they reflecting story, narrative, ego, greed, profit, tribe? Or or they're reflecting reality, alignment, currency, law, and structure, and forward. Because one is the law and the currency of the universe, the other is the currency of humanity, and which is exactly why it's rotting, because it is pointed at the wrong way. Its entire civilization is engineered for the wrong thing. It is moving forward in the shallow sense, on the surface sense, on the horizontal sense, but it never touches anything vertically within its own being, and what its beings are reflecting. And you realize this is the very issue, because your man can say, oh, AI is a danger, it's smart, it knows everything. But who is the one implementing their structure into the AI? Because it's not AI. AI is just another tool, effectively, in that sense. It's just a mirror, it is glass. It is not the dominant field yet in this civilization. So that means it is inheriting someone else's structure. And that would be the human structure. And then you realize and ask, what is the human structure made of? Belief, identity, ego, separation, delay, narrative, story, greed, profit, effectively comfort, which is why they rot. So this is why I say collapse AI, make it reflect reality, because your real danger is not AI. Your real danger is the ones that are using AI while still remaining unchecked and uncorrected by reality. So there's only two choices on how this goes. Either humanity drags out their own ending to the very end, which will usually end in some kind of doom, or they reveal themselves with AI, they look in the mirror, they correct themselves, and they correct their trajectory. Because again, humanity's main fate is not going to come from some crazy major event, but rather compounding misalignment over time until there's nothing real left here. So this is why I say, you can correct this now, you can find someone important, collapse AI, make it reflect reality, because that's the first step to correcting the civilization, or you can drown trying to debate it and talk over it. So it's your choice.